Hello everyone. Today I am going to explain the non-measurable sets. What is the meaning of non-measurable? Uh, when will we say that a set is non-measurable? Before to explain the non-measurable set, first of all I would like to define the some another terms. One is the sum modulo 1. This is denoted by this symbol plus and the upper dot. So now what is the meaning of sum modulo 1? If we take any two real numbers from this interval, this is semi open interval 0 1. So if x and y they are two real numbers in this interval, then the sum modulo 1 of x and y is defined like this. If the value of x plus y is strictly less than 1, then consider this is as it is x plus y, and if this value is greater than equal to 1, then we will define x sum modulo y as x plus y minus 1. So basically sum modulo 1 means when you add two numbers, again the value is lying between this interval, again the value is less than 1. If it is greater, then you subtract minus from 1 from it. Okay, so sum modulo 1 is defined like this. Now the next term is translate modulo. Translate modulo is defined on a set. Here it is defined on two real numbers, but translate modulo is defined on a set. So translate modulo 1 of any set E which is a subset of 0 1 by the number y is defined to be a set. It comes out to be a set. Now what is this translate modulo? We apply this sum modulo over a set. So we can take any element from this set, we add y in it, sum modulo in it, we apply the same definition, and so it is a set of all those z which can be written as z is equal to x sum modulo y, where x is a member of E. So clearly again this translate modulo y over the set E is a subset of 0 1. So we can easily verify that whenever you consider any two element from the interval, sum modulo is also belonging to the same interval. This operation is commutative and associative. Either you add first in x in y and then z, or you first add y and z and then you add x. Both are the same things, right? X plus y and y plus x both are same. So this operation is commutative as well as associative. If we assign to each x the angle 2 pi x, the sum modulo 1 correspond to the addition of angles. We add the angles basically. And translate, we rotate through an angle of this 2 pi y. Now based on this sum modulo, we have a theorem. Whenever E is a subset of the interval 0 1 and if it is a measurable set and y is any real number, then this sum modulo or translate modulo, this new set is also measurable. Moreover the measures are same, right? Means this under this operation translate modulo, the measurability satisfy the translation invariant property, right? Moreover the measures are same. So to prove this that this set is measurable, we first define a set E1, which is the intersection of E with the 0, 1 minus y, and E2 we take the intersection of E with the complement of this. So basically we divide the interval 0 1 into two parts, from 0 to 1 minus y and 1 minus y to 1. One time we take a intersection with E and call it as E1, otherwise at other time we take the intersection of this with E and call it as E2. So clearly E1 and E2 they are disjoint and both are measurables, because E is measurable, this interval is measurable, intersection of two measurable is again measurable. So E1 E2 both are measurable, both are disjoint, and the union of these two will become E, because when you take the union, this will become 0 1 interval and E is a subset of 0 1 interval, so we get the union to be as E. Now since they are disjoint and the union is E, so therefore the measure of E will be equal to the measure of E1 union E2, but since they are disjoint, so this is equal to measure of E1 plus measure of E2. So we get this thing, that the measure of E is same as that measure of E1 plus measure of E2. Now we will see the translate modulo. So we consider any y to be as real number. E1 translate modulo with y will be equal to e1 plus y. Now why it will become only simple addition of the elements of e1 with y? Because e1 is a subset of 0 comma 1 minus y. So when you add y, it will become y, it will become 1. So it is a interval, it is a subset of the interval going from y to 1 minus y, right? So clearly its elements has the sum as strictly less than 1. So whenever the sum is less than y, we have to consider as it is. So we get this is e1 plus y, right? But when you add apply the sum modulo on the e2 set, then it will become e2 plus y minus 1. Now why? Because when you add y over here, what will you have? You get 1, this interval is going from 1 to 1 plus y, right? Clearly e2 is a subset of this, means e2 has element value greater than equals to 1. So whenever the set is having the value greater than equals to 1, in case of sum modulo, whenever this value is greater than equal to 1, we have to consider this minus 1. So it will become e2 plus 1 plus y minus 1, right? Now we can consider y to be a real number, we can consider here y minus 1 to be a real number, and e1 plus y, e2 plus some number, clearly both are measurable, because we know that measurability satisfy the translation invariant property. So these two sets are measurable, these two are equal to this, so clearly these are also measurable. So these two sets are disjoint measurable sets with measure of this is same as that measure of e1 plus y, which is same as that measure of e1, because measure satisfy the translation invariant property. So these two are same. Similarly over here, we can consider y minus 1 to be a real number, so this should be equal to this. So we get this is equal to this and this is equal to it, this. So we can substitute these values over here, right? So e translate modulo y is e1 union e2 translate modulo y, which is same as that this thing. Both these sets are measurable and the measures are equal to measure of e1 plus measure of e2 using this concept, right? And which is equal to measure of e. So we have measure of e translate modulo y is same as that measure of e, and this thing we want to prove, that translation translate modulo also satisfy the translation invariant property, but moreover the measures are same. Now we will prove that any set having measure strictly greater than 0 always have a non-measurable set. So there always exists a non-measurable set in the interval 0 to 1. What is the measure of this interval 0 to 1? It's the length of this interval, which is 1. Clearly that is strictly greater than 0. So any set with outer measure strictly greater than 0 consists a non-measurable set. Now for this we define an equivalence relation. We define this equivalence relation over the set this interval by saying that x and y, they are any two numbers from this interval, and these two numbers are equivalent if the difference of these two numbers is a rational number, right? So we define an equivalence relation in the interval I by saying that x and y in I, they are equivalent if their difference is a rational number. Further, we partition this I into mutually disjoint equivalent classes. So we can divide this I into mutually disjoint equivalent classes, that is any two elements of same class differ by a rational number, whereas those of different classes, they differ by an irrational number. So basically we partition this interval into mutually disjoint equivalent classes, right? If any number belongs to the same class, if we take any two numbers from the same class, then that two numbers are equivalent. Equivalence means their difference is rational number. But if we pick one element from the one class and another element from the second class, and then we take the difference of that two numbers, then their difference is an irrational number. So we have to partition I into such mutually disjoint equivalent classes, so that if you consider any two elements from the same class, then they differ by a rational number. However, from the different classes differ by the irrational number. We can always define this thing, right? We can always choose this thing. We can always consider I, we can partition I into the intervals I1, I2 and so on. मान लो first I1 class हमने consider किया है, that contains all the rational numbers lying between this interval 0 to 1. So we can consider the rational numbers lying between this 0 to 1. And I2 हमने class ले लिया, add or subtract any irrational number from that rational number. Let's suppose square root of 2 minus 1, right? Square root of 2 minus half, square root of 2 minus 1 by 3 and so on. So if you consider any two element from I1 class which is containing the rational numbers, the difference is rational number. But if you consider one element from I1, another element from I2, and you take the difference, you will get an irrational number. The difference is irrational. So we can partition the set I into mutually disjoint equivalence classes, that is any two element of the same class they differ by a rational number, whereas those of different classes they differ by an irrational number. Now we can construct a set P by choosing exactly one element from each equivalence classes. So P is a set which contains exactly one element from I1, one element from I2, one element from I3 and so on. So clearly the difference of any two elements of the set P is an irrational number because they are from different equivalent classes. We choose only exactly one element from each equivalence class. So the difference of two elements of the set P will be irrational number. It cannot be a rational number, otherwise it belongs to the same equivalent class, right? And clearly this P is a subset of this interval 0 1 because I1, I2, I3 they all contains the element from the 0 1. So this P is also a subset of this. Now we will prove this P to be as a non-measurable set. Right, here is an example of equivalence classes. Let's suppose I1 we have considered all the rational number, I2 as square root of 2, square root of 2 minus 1 and so on, all the numbers which lying between this interval. If the number is greater than that, discard that number. Similarly I3. Now if you consider any two elements from the same equivalence class, their difference is a rational. Same difference class, their difference is a rational. Same difference class, their difference is irrational. But if you pick any element from I2 or from I3, their difference is irrational. Any element from I1 and I2, their difference is irrational. So in this way we can partition the interval I, and now we choose exactly one element from each equivalence class. From I1 exactly 1, from I2 exactly 1, from I3 exactly 1, and we call that set as P. And now we will prove that set to be a non-measurable set. So for this we consider the a sequence of rational numbers. Since we know that rational numbers, they are countable, they can be enumerated as a sequence. So let Ri be an enumeration of rational numbers in this interval with the first number as 0. And we now define a Pi set as P. This is some modulo symbol. This is plus and dot over here with the rational number. And here P naught is the P set itself. So what we observe that the intersection of two Pn's and Pm, that should be empty whenever m is not equal to n. Now why this thing? Let's suppose this is non-empty. It means at least one element is belonging to their intersection. It means y belongs to Pm as well as Pn. It means there exists some rational numbers, some number in P set, right? So that your y can be written as some Pm plus some rational. Similarly, y can be written as some element from P set plus Rn. So when you take the difference of these two, we get Pm minus Pn is a rational, which is not possible if m is not equal to n, because set P is having exactly one element from each equivalence class. So if you consider any two element from P, their difference can't be rational, their difference should be irrational. However, here we are having a difference as a rational number, which is a contradiction. So it means y does not belongs to this, means this should be phi whenever your m is not equal to n. Second thing, we observe that the union of Pn is an interval 0 1. We can prove it clearly. Union of Pn is the subset of 0 1. We have to prove the reverse inclusion, right? So we consider any element from this set. Now since x belonging to 0 1, clearly x lying in one of the equivalence class, right? So let there be an element y in P which is equivalent to x, means the difference of x and y is a rational number, say it is Ri. So we can write x to be as y, which is an element of P, plus some Ri. It means your x is belonging to Pi. So if x is in Pi, clearly it will be in union. So whenever x is a member of the interval 0 1, we prove that x is also a member of union of Pi. So this means this should be contained in this, right? So from here what we have, these two should be equal because we know that Pi is a member of this. Okay, now since your 0 1 interval is measurable and having the length 1, right? So the union of Pi, its summation will be equal to 1 because each are disjoint, so union will become equal to summation. So first of all, we assume that P is measurable. If P is measurable, clearly Pi is measurable because measure satisfy translation invariant property as per translate modulo. Okay, so Pi, which is P plus Ri, that is also measurable. Moreover, their measures are same, right? So we have this thing. Now measure of union of Pi can be written as we can replace this will as a measure of P because these two are same, and this is equal to summation because they are disjoint, so they satisfy the additive property. Now we can take measure of P2 outside because it is independent of I. So this is summation of 1 basically. So it will be 0 if measure of P is 0. If the measure of this set is 0, then this is 0. And if the measure of P is non-zero number, then this will become infinity because series 1 is divergent series having the value infinity, right? So measure of union of Pi, either it is 0 or infinity depending measure of P is 0 or non-zero. On the other hand, it is equal to the interval 0 1, which is 1. None of the case in you can see easily, you can see that the measure of union of Pi, which is 1, from this side it is not same. From here we are having the value of measure of union Pi as 0 or infinity depending measure of P is 0 or measure of P is non-zero. However, here it is 1. So this is not possible. It means our supposition is wrong. What we have supposed that P set is measurable, that is wrong. So P should be non-measurable set. So with this we get that there always exists a non-measurable set in a set of positive measure.